Hey guys, I just got the Big 7 upgrade wire kit for my Wrangler. I got a 2010 JK. I didn't like any of the videos that I found online. Still didn't really tell me what I needed to know, so thought I'd make my own. I just did the install yesterday, and I'm going to point out some of the key parts that you need to know. So it says to start with the black wires, the negative, the ground wires, and that's what I did. The first problem I ran into was trying to figure out where the actual ground wire went. So I disconnected it here. Now I've got a lot of extra stuff going on here, I know. Maybe we'll do another video about that someday. But anyway, the stock ground wire was this guy over here. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, the stock ground wire took off that way, and then I couldn't get it pulled out, and I couldn't figure out where it goes. It says to connect to the block. So that's all well and great, but if you can't get the wire to move, it's connected with clips and everything. I couldn't get it to pull out or anything, so I couldn't figure out where it went. So after laying on the ground for a while, I did finally figure it out, and it's actually way simpler than it seems. Right down here, behind about, I don't know, about 16 inches behind the oil filter on the passenger side, is this heat shroud. Okay, see that guy right there? So if you could see behind there, there's a bolt, and that's the guy you want. So there's a bolt, there's a nut on the outside, and then it's got two nuts on the inside. The two that you need are 5/8, and you may need a 3/4, you may not. I did, because when I turned to 5/8, the whole thing just rotated. The 3/4 is a lock, which locks it to the block. So that connection right there, you will connect your ground wire to the battery, as well as your ground wire that goes to the chassis. So make sure that you do both of those at the same time, and make sure you put all of them behind the heat shroud, and then put the heat shroud all back together. You don't want to melt your new wires that you just spent all kinds of money for. So back up top, again, you connect the other end of that to the negative side on the post, and then the other end of the second one that goes from the block to the chassis goes right there. So just behind the battery off a little bit. Mine also has this braided line that goes to the hood. One of these braided lines went down to the bottom. The second one came to the hood. I just twisted them together and put both of them to the hood from the chassis. So that's one that goes to the chassis. You've also got another one that comes down this way, and then that one connects to the chassis right here behind your control panel, your power distribution center, and it is right there. Again, that's just a short one that goes right there. So that's your negative wires. So then the positive wire, the hot that goes to the starter, connects here, runs across, again goes down, and to the starter, which is on the driver's side. And it is right there behind that heat shroud. So that's on the driver's side, near the back of the oil pan. Just that screw, that bolt right there has just a little lock washer type thing on it. You slide that guy off, then you can pull your heat shroud open. It's got a staple on there, so be careful, that'll stab you. Anyway, go in there, connect your wire to the starter. Put all your covers back on. Make sure you put your heat shroud back on, and make sure you put the little locking washer back on. So now that's it for the underside. Oh, one other thing, a couple of those wires, the ends that connected to the ground on the motor side, on the block, the holes were not big enough, so I used my step bit, my step driver, screw bit, drill bit, and just made those up to the next size that it would do, so they would fit. Okay, so the other positive wire comes off the positive side. It comes on over here to the alternator. So you pull that there, and I just went across the back, came on through. There you go. Okay, so next you've got the so the one from the starter goes to the fuse box, goes here. I didn't find a fuse in my package. I won't 100% say that they didn't send it to me. I just couldn't find it. It may be on my floor somewhere. But anyway, went to AutoZone and got a new one. One thing to note, if you guys do this, the fuse that AutoZone sells does not have the same gap for these holes. I had to slot out the end of the fuse on both sides to get it to fit into those bolts to reach, because the gauge for the spacing of the holes on the fuse is smaller than the gauge for the spacing on the mount. So coming out of the fuse, we go to the power control center. There you go. I did have to bend the clamp on the one a little bit to get it underneath there, and then the second one just screws right on top of it. The cover I had to modify a little bit. This guy right here was down about, I don't know, another inch or so. Had to cut that off, and I just sort of notched it around so that it fits around the two new wires. And then that guy just goes right back in there. So then that comes back over here, goes right there to the positive side on the battery, and everything connects really well. Actually, if you the hardest part was figuring out where everything went. If you know where it goes, then this is an easy job. Finding out where they go is very difficult. The two wires that went to the positive side, I was able to pull out the originals. I was able to pull them out. The ground, the original ground that went from the battery to the block, I had to cut and abandon in place. I couldn't pull it in or out either way, so I just cut that back in there somewhere where you can't see it. I don't like random wires just sticking out that aren't connected to anything, so I hid them in there. But other than that, a couple of wires just pull right through, and it's a pretty nice collection. The wires actually are really nice. They've got really good ends on them. They heat shrink and put looks like some kind of sealant in there, waterproof them, so the connections are really nice and strong. I went with the larger. This is the 1/0, basically because I had this other 1/0 cable here going to my winch and my power supply. Here, I'll just give you a quick. I've got a Anderson connection there for my winch on the front, and then I run one all the way to the back, where I've got another connection back here with another Anderson if I need to run a winch or somebody's trailer, or I have a pair of jumper cables that I cut, put Anderson clips in so I can pull up in front of somebody on the interstate and jump them. I could park in front of them and jump them without having to turn my vehicle around. So anyway, that's my video. I know it's not a great one. I know it's a long one run, but this is my first video, so cut me a break. Hopefully it'll help you on your Big 7 wire kit from jeepcables.com. Anyway, I'm not getting paid by them, no endorsement. I just did this to help some folks out. So hope it works out. Let me know if you have any comments. Thanks. Bye.